Good morning, afternoon, or evening, fellow traveler in mindfulness. I can't believe it is the end of week 3 already in our journey. Some of you are in a different place with your practice right now, and I congratulate you on what you are doing. I've received a few comments of people who are working on week 1 or week 2 practice. How has your week of using filler words, trying to eliminate filler words, or just being aware of your filler words in speech gone? Mine's been interesting. Definitely different than what I had planned at the beginning of the week, but a lot of insight nonetheless. We've had many great revelations, if I'm allowed to use that word, from participants thus far. Donna had mentioned the effort that is put into this and how it's worth it, even though the effort seems difficult or even pointless at times. Those are my own words, not hers, but I'll get into that in a minute. Andrea had mentioned filler words as energy looking for direction. And I love that concept, that there's so much built up energy inside that we don't know exactly how to get it out. And those filler words are just that energy that's kind of built up, waiting for us to find the words, the way to get it out. Haley had mentioned going beyond words into the mystery, into celebrating that aspect where language can no longer convey our experience. I love it. And Christine had talked about speaking as a meditation. Why not? Why can't it be? Why can't everything that we do be a prayerful devotion, a meditation to awareness? For myself, I have found filler speech arising the most when I am rushed or when I'm anxious. And it can be a good anxious or a not so good anxious. I noticed it in speaking with my mother-in-law. I won't go any deeper with that. I had an excellent conversation with a friend last night, and I noticed that I was using a lot of filler speech with her. I'm completely comfortable with her, but I was so anxious about the conversation, so energized by the conversation that perhaps, like Andrea said, I just didn't have the direction yet. When I'm rushed, when I'm trying to get the kids going, whatever, I can't find the words. I just want to get it out. There are a lot of lessons to be learned from being aware of our speech, being aware of how we present ourselves to the world and how that actually connects to what's going on in here and what's going on in here. I feel, though, especially at the end of week 3 of this practice, that I want to address something a little bit larger. Each of these practices are going to continue, and each of them are extremely important in their own right. They're going to teach us a little bit something about mindfulness, about ourselves, about others, or maybe not. Each practice may not be right for you. Throughout it all, I want to maintain the thread of why we're doing this, why you signed up in the first place. Some of the people who have signed up have dropped off, and that's okay. Something wasn't right for them about the practice, and that's all right. Why are you still here? In the book by Jan Chosen Bays, the book that we are working off of, How to Train a Wild Elephant, there is a part in it that she says in this chapter that we're working on, only when we bring the light of awareness to a pattern of behavior do we begin to have some space to work to modify them. I think that's worth noting. It begins with awareness. We start with just noticing. It's not comfortable most of the time. Along those lines, I don't know if you've heard of or read this particular book, I highly recommend it. Anything by Orion Mountain Dreamer. This one is called The Invitation. There's a wonderful poem that I might read later, but right now I want to share with you a particular part of the book. She's talking about a ceremony where women had gathered. The other women in the room sat uneasily in the silence. "Then why do this at all?" another woman asked. "Why would we risk the unknown changes that this knowledge could bring into our lives?" I paused and considered it for myself. "For freedom," I said. "I risk it for the freedom to see what is true, what I really want in the deepest part of myself. I can make whatever choices I want in my life, and I will live with the consequences of those choices. But if I want to live a life close to my deepest desires, I have to risk knowing who I really am and have always been. Knowing this, then I can choose." You could taste the fear in the room. There are lessons from filler speech, insights that some of us have had. Perhaps some of us have just found this practice pointless or even annoying. What I want to leave you with this week is that fear for you and I both to sit with. That as we introduce ourselves to each of these practices, to notice the resistance that comes up. That speaks to a much greater purpose of why we would do these mindfulness practices at all. Just for a moment, I invite you to sit wherever you are. Straighten up as if somebody is pulling a string at the top of your head, and gently allow your shoulders to relax. Close your eyes and breathe normally. Notice your breath. You can open your eyes or leave them closed. Take this with you, this one little moment of peace. If you find yourself using filler words and moving away from your truth, acknowledge it and come back. Because this is your life. This is your practice. There's no other reason to be doing it. I wish you a mindful weekend. Namaste.